All right, welcome back to the show. Let's finish strong here. We've kind of flipped the script a little bit today. Usually we talk broad and numbers and what's happening in the market, and then we dive into some micro markets. Well, today, we've dove into Santee downtown. We visited Melissa Tucci at one of her listings. So we've already done the hyper-local market. I want to talk broader and what's happening with the San Diego real estate market. We're coming up towards the end of the year. Great time to know what the value of your property is. It's your biggest investment. You're going to have to do your real estate taxes, so important to know as well. Make sure that the city doesn't get you for more, and they're going to try. So nothing more important when it comes to your real estate to know the value, how much equity, not just in your area, but really right on the street that you live in. Glen Henderson joins us in studio to help us better understand what's going on with property values here in San Diego and also to learn your property value. So Glen, good to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Craig.
So you and I were actually speaking earlier about it's that time of year. It's Q4.
Yep.
You know, there's so many predictions and all this about what's going to happen in 2016, which I'm going to put you on the spot here in just a moment. But it's a pretty good year, right? We saw real estate values go up.
Yep. Yeah, another strong year, appreciation, good sales, and excellent interest rates for buyers still. So it's been a very strong year in the San Diego marketplace again.
So if we're going to look at that, well, what does that mean for me? What does that mean for me as a homeowner? Let's find out. Now, I think typically people want to keep to themselves. We have this technologically advanced world that we live in now where you can go find these different websites, Zillow being one of them, where you can click it in and next thing you know, your property value. I've seen firsthand it not really work, but I think it's kind of well known now, even by the CEO of Zillow, that it's not even accurate.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we're running into all the time now, both with home buyers and with home sellers, is information so readily available online. Nobody wants to talk to the professional because they're afraid it's going to be salesy, everything else. They'll just go online, get the information.
Which probably is, in many cases. I can't blame, what is there, 20,000 real estate licenses now? So there's a lot of people that shouldn't necessarily be in the business trying to put themselves onto people. So if you just want to figure out the property value, but then again, online, we're off.
We're off, and that's a big problem is the information. If you could go online and get the information and it was correct, it would be one thing, but the information's so incorrect. And you guys were talking earlier when you were there, talking about so much misinformation. That's what it is. And Zillow's a perfect example where people rely on it so heavily, where buyers will think a property's overpriced because they looked at the Zestimate. Sellers will think their home's worth more than it really is because of the Zestimate. And what people don't understand is how inaccurate it is. And with Zillow, only 44% of the time are they within 5% of the correct value. So
let's just round. If half the time they're within 5%. So a $500,000 house, you're talking about a $25,000 gap that they're not even right about 50% of the time.
Exactly.
Right?
70% of the time they get within 10%. So 70% of the time you might be within 50,000. And I think it's 80% they're within 20% of the value. So it's terribly wrong. And I think a good example where we tell people this, or people might see it, but even the CEO of Zillow, his home's on the market right now up in Seattle. His home is priced $400,000 less than what the Zestimate is. So if that doesn't show you that even the CEO doesn't trust or rely on what his company says,
caught with your pants down.
Oh, absolutely. It's like, hey, so
get it right for yourself at least, right?
Yeah, and it's one of those things. It's great if you just want to see maybe kind of what's happening, but if you really want to get a gauge on what is happening, you need a professional, and that's...
So Glenn, let me ask you a question. It's been a crazy couple of years in the real estate market here in San Diego, and people have seen their neighbor's home sell for above listing price. They've heard this story about the 10 offers that ultimately went for well above the listing. So that's going to tell a lot of people, hey, if I put my home out there, I should expect the same thing. It's going to make people think that. But our market shifts so rapidly here. By the time you get this information on the news or online, it's usually outdated or inaccurate anyway. So there's really two parts to my question here. How do we understand the market, right, and where it is today, and if we're going to sell today, how do we price that thing out? And then the marketing, because if you tell me it's worth $1 million, Glenn, well, I heard you're this guru in real estate. You've written books. You're on the American Dream TV show. You must be good at what you do. I want you to get me to 1.1 because you're such a great realtor, right? So now they're going to put it all on you. Or if it's not you, they're going to tell someone else and maybe get you guys competing against one another. So how do we first understand the market and what our value is today?
Yeah. And that, there's so many components that go into that where we could do a whole show on it. But basically it's not you or I or what we want the price to be or what we say the price is. It's the market that determines the value of the price. So there's so many parts that we can't control, location of the home, the size of the home, but there's the things to the condition of the home, the upgrades to the home. Those are the things that you can control as a homeowner, where we can make recommendations. And then our job as a professional is the marketing, and that's what we have the control over. And it really comes down to supply and demand. There's one home, and that's your home. So how much demand can we create? And that's, so many realtors miss that part of it, where they're put a sign in the front yard, put it on the MLS, and that's what they're, exactly, and let's see what happens. Where then instead of being passive and just seeing what happens, we're active. We're the ones that are aggressively, proactively marketing your property, finding the buyers, identifying who that key demographic of buyer is. I mean, there's so many parts that go into that, but creating the demand, creating the interest, because the more people we can get through your home and the more interest we can create, of course, the more we're going to be able to drive price with it. And that's where we can really control a lot of it. And that's our job as a professional, is to be able to do that for you, the homeowner. And that's what so many people don't understand, or where so many people miss out on opportunity or leave money on the table by hiring that wrong person or hiring the neighbor's friend and that type of a thing. But like I said, that's kind of the simple answer of it, but that's what we can really control as the marketing, where the homeowners can control the condition, upgrades, and work with us and work together as a team with the staging and preparing of the home.
Yeah, you guys are giving a lot of advice on stuff like that. Staging, you just mentioned, touching things up, putting some money into the home. That can help. There's a small investment can go a long way, even something like staging, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we could just go example after example of homes that didn't sell with the first or second realtor, and we've gotten the listing. We've worked with them on small updates, staging, different things like that, and where we're able to get it sold in a couple weeks, sometimes above what even the last realtor had it listed for, where it had sat on the home market for 6 months prior to that. And it really just comes down to, again, how to prepare the home, market the home, and get it positioned and sold. So.
Yeah, it's really interesting. There's the market, right? And you can't look backwards. It's like chasing a stock. I tell people, look, it doesn't matter what the market's done. It's where it's going, and dramatically changing marketplace. We hate making predictions on this show, but I think there's a healthy real estate market ahead of us in 2016. And then when you're going to sell a home, you're not just always selling it to experiment. You might have a job transfer, or you're moving up to a bigger and better home. So you got to understand, what are the strategies that work today to help you get top dollar. Glenn just named a few off for you. It's just really, really important. Market and marketing. Glenn does it as good as anybody out there. Appreciate you coming on the show here, Glenn, and helping us finish strong. Today. All right, so that's it for today. I appreciate you tuning in here. Don't forget, we also have a radio show every night at 6 p.m. on 1170 AM KCBQ. Check us out there. Follow us on social media. And never forget the contact form that's on my website, craigsewing.com. That is a way to email me directly. So look at today. We talked about the market. We talked about the mortgage environment, interest rates, VA financing for our heroes who have served, dove into different micro markets in the San Diego real estate market. And then we talked about what's your home worth. All of this stuff is so, so important. If there's anything I want you to walk away with on this show, just know we could be a resource for you. I got a great team. That's the whole point of the show. That's why there's no advertising. We have partners, experts that come on this program. We're here to help you in any way we can. We'll be here again next Saturday at 10 a.m., Channel 4. In the meantime, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.